So in this segment, I want to discuss the former White House spokesman saying Israel has committed war crimes in Gaza, and it's a massive change to what he was saying previously in his role. And of course, he's employed by the state, and I'll go into details into the ethics, I guess, of being someone who works for the government and is asked to carry out things that defend war crimes effectively. So let's have a listen to what he's got to say now, more recently.
What's going on in Gaza now is a genocide?
I don't think it's a genocide, but I think I think it is without a doubt true that Israel has committed war crimes.
You wouldn't have said that at the podium.
Yeah, look, because when you're at the podium, you're not expressing your personal opinion. You're expressing the conclusions of the United States government.
So, we'll look at what he said at the podium, but this is the key here. You're expressing the views of your employer, the United States government, which is true. But at the same time, there is the argument of, well, by working for them, he's tacitly endorsing that by being an employee. You choose to work for the government in that capacity. But at the same time, he would also be replaced by such a person who would probably do the same thing. The question you got to ask yourself is, are you content with pushing lies? Because you can justify to yourself that, they'll just replace me with someone else. You can justify it by using the defense of, I was just following orders. The Nuremberg defense. That phrase became a common defense during the trials after World War II. I'm not comparing, obviously, the actions of the Nazis and, essentially White House employees here, but you are defending, as you claim to be war crimes. And the question is, when did you think they were war crimes? Because, I doubt any of these people will ever be on the stand. The journalists who have defended the war crimes, nor the politicians outside of Israel who have defended war crimes and have armed it. I don't think they'll ever see the stand. But there are real questions that need to be asked of them. And questions they need to ask themselves really are they content to be doing this? Because it's the politicians who can change things, not spokespeople.
The United States government had not concluded that they've committed war crimes. Still have not concluded that.
But your personal view is they have. They were while you were there.
But here's
that's a burn question.
Yes, but let me qualify that. There are two ways to think about the commission of war crimes. One is if the state has pursued a policy to deliberately committing war crimes or is acting reckless in a way that aids.
They've glassed buildings and refugee camps like Gaza is rubble in most areas. So the idea that the state has not deliberately acted, are the IDF Air Force acting on their own then?
And abets war crimes if the state is committing war crimes, and that I think is an open question.
It's really a closed question.
I think what is almost certainly not an open question is that there have been individual incidents that have been war crimes where Israeli soldiers, members of the Israeli military, have committed war crimes. And we do know that Israel has opened investigations, but look,
these are bogus. That's investing yourself for any kind of crime. You're not going to find yourself guilty.
We are many months into those investigations and we're not seeing Israeli soldiers held accountable. So ultimately, in almost every major conflict, including conflicts prosecuted by democracies, you will see individual members of the military.
This is so bogus. His answer's so shit. Like when you look at what they have done in Gaza, turning buildings to complete rubble, absolutely, attacking refugee camps, attacking ambulances. This is endorsed by the state because there's no way you would get this en masse. There's no politicians in this world who would allow their military to go rampant like this unless they've completely lost control of the situation.
Of militaries commit war crimes, and the way you judge a democracy is whether they hold those people accountable.
But Israel hasn't.
That's my point,
right.
Is we have not yet seen them hold sufficient numbers of the military accountable, and I think it's an open question whether they're...
It's very much closed. But yeah, the I was just following orders defense here, and if we look at what he was saying at the time, let's have a listen.
Without a doubt, true that Israel has committed war crimes.
You wouldn't have said that at the podium.
Yeah, look, make assessments. Those assessments are ongoing, and we have not yet at this time concluded that Israel has violated international humanitarian law, but we have ongoing assessments across a number of different fronts.
So all these organizations are just wrong? They just see the law differently?
I'm telling you that we have ongoing assessments, and we have not yet reached that conclusion. Failed to implement all of the things that we recommend in that letter. Now, that said, we are not at the end of the 30-day period,
okay,
and we are in conversation.
Not ready to give them
it's not the end. It's not the end of the semester. You don't give out. You don't. Handout grades in the middle.
Well,
In the
it
middle.
Gives you the right to lecture other countries on their moral.
So if you have a policy question for me, I'm happy to take it. If you want to give a speech,
No, but
there are
I
plenty
mean-
of places in Washington where you can give a speech.
Yeah, but people are sick of the bullshit in here. I mean, like, it is a genocide.
I'm gonna
You
go on
are
to- I'm gonna
abetting
go on
it,
another question.
and you
Go ahead.
are.
Israel blowing up an entire village in southern Lebanon. What do you make of that?
So I've seen the footage. I cannot speak to what their intent was or what they were trying to accomplish. Sometimes everyone likes to make this seem like a black and white issue that is completely simple, where there's somebody that's blocking humanitarian assistance, when it
It very much is the case.
actually it can be much more complex. Targeted attacks on civilians could not be justified, but Israel does have the right to go after terrorists. I mean, that is just a fact under international humanitarian law, that every country has a right to defend itself against.
To blow up refugee camps. But I'm not going to watch any more of this. This guy, absolutely ridiculous. It's clear that he disagreed with the things he was saying, but this is what people do for a paycheck, and he will go down. This will be documented when people look at this in the future, to look at what the US's role is. He is the spokesperson for the president of the United States. These are the videos people are going to be watching of this guy talking absolute nonsense about war crimes, especially if they pair it with the second video from Sky, where it's clear that he didn't believe the stuff he was saying. So this is the extent people go to for a paycheck. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.